Hi guys, I'm Marie.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're here today just to bring you a quick little mini episode, not on anything crime related, but on the backpacking trip through the Enchantments that we just did.
Yes.
I would say our most important piece of gear was probably the one mosquito net thing that covers your head that I had that we had to share at our campsite.
Dude, the bugs are so bad this year.
Yeah. Okay. So if you don't know what the enchantments are, they are this hike, well, this area in Leavenworth, Washington, and you basically go up into them. You have to go over a pass, and then there's all these alpine lakes up there, and then you have to take this grueling trip back down. And you can do it all in one day. I did it last year. It's about 18 miles if you take 0 side trips.
Elevation. Please share the elevation with the people. This is important. Don't let her skip out on the fucking elevation for you.
Maddie apparently did not know what she was getting herself into. I told her it was going to be hard.
No, you did. But you didn't tell me specifically what we were going to be doing, and you knew what we were going to be doing. You sugarcoated it for me, and I was not appreciative.
So the elevation is about 4,500 feet, which isn't terrible. However, we did all of that in probably the first 4 hours of our entire trip.
It was more than 4 hours.
6 hours?
It took us 6 hours.
Okay, so basically, in order to spend the night in this area so that you don't have to go all the way through in one day. By the way, if you go through in one day, you have to have 2 cars or you have to hitch a ride.
Yes.
Right? We hitched a ride. But the trailheads are about 8 miles apart, but it's a pretty steep road to get back up to the other one. So if you have to walk it, it kind of sucks after you've done 20 miles. So this year I finally got a permit for the core zone, which means we can go into the enchantments and we can spend the night anywhere that we want. The core zone is in the middle of the enchantments. So I've gotten a permit for snow lakes where I have to go on one side and then I can go into the enchantments and explore, but then I have to go back to my campsite at the end of the day. I can't sleep anywhere else. So we got our permit. We drive to Leavenworth. We park our car. We get a ride to the other trailhead. So I will say they have a shuttle that will take you from one trailhead to the other. And it runs at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., but it only runs on the weekend. And we were going during the week. So we actually got a ride from an old friend of mine. Her name is Erica Bowie, and she actually owns, get this, the reindeer farm in Leavenworth.
So if you didn't know, there's a reindeer farm in Leavenworth.
And we go there every year because we go to Leavenworth during Christmas because it's this Bavarian town. It's very old feeling, everything has to be, the McDonald's isn't just a McDonald's. It has to look a certain way.
Yeah, they change all the street signs. Everything looks all
It's super
Bavarian,
cute.
very German, very...
Yeah, it's super cute. We go there probably twice a year. We go there for Christmas and then we go there during the summer at least once and float the river. But we go to this reindeer farm and you actually get to go, you learn about reindeer, and then you get to feed the reindeer. By the way, did you know reindeer are kind of small?
They're a lot smaller than you would expect.
They're not like the movies, you guys. That might be shocking to some of you because it kind of was to us. I don't know why. The only reindeer I've seen in movies, they're the size of a deer or a horse. Reindeer are not like that. They are small, but their antlers are fucking gigantic and they are scary. Highly recommend that if you are in Leavenworth, and they're open year round.
Are they?
Uh-huh. Yeah. They're open year round. Yeah. I highly recommend if you go to Leavenworth that you go and check them out. They're family run. They're super amazing. Anyway, so that's how we saved ourselves miles that we probably couldn't have handled.
No. Fuck
and
no. I could not have
our
done
second
that 8 miles.
option. And our second option was to hitchhike, which is what we were prepared to do. in the morning when we
You are the
left.
biggest hypocrite on the
I
planet.
know.
You are such a
Don't
hypocrite.
hitchhike. Okay. So we started at Kolchak. We ended at Snow Lakes. Going up to Kolchak is a pretty easy, low key. It's got a couple 1,000 feet of elevation gain.
It's not too bad.
Maybe like 2,000 or just under that. It's a really pretty green lake. It has this beautiful mountain.
Gorgeous. You get there, the bugs start attacking you instantly at the lake.
So when we started getting attacked at Kolchak, I knew we were in trouble because I knew it was going to be worse up the pass. So when we got to Kolchak, and of course we're hours in at this point, and I'm debating if I should like have a drink now to celebrate that we made it to Kolchak, or if I should wait till we get up the pass. And Maddie's like, just do both. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, so we stopped at the lake. We had a drink. The fish at Kolchak Lake
So
was
cool.
probably my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
There were so many fish. I could have camped there, honestly. I could have
But
camped
the
there and
water's
watched the
really
fish.
green. And actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. Like, if I was going to do the enchantments again, I would do 2 nights instead of 1 night because we only did 1 night. But I would go up to the pass. I would stay at the top of the pass on day 1 and then go further down. You know, like I would split up that second. I would split that in half.
Yeah, so we could enjoy it a little bit more.
Right.
I just wanted to get the fuck out of there at that point.
I know.
was like,
So
"Get me out."
So we get done at Kolchak, and while we're sitting at Kolchak, a fucking mountain goat comes right by where we're standing.
Just walks right out.
And
in
we're
front of
like,
us.
oh, hi, buddy, which I've never seen one that low. They're all up in the pass. I've never seen them down at Kolchak. So that was really cool. So then we head around and I show Maddie exactly where we're going to be going up Kolchak.
And I
she
think
was
she's
like,
kidding.
She was like, oh, you're funny. And I was like, no, really? You see that mountain right there? We're going to go to the left of those trees and we're going to go up and we're going to go through that. And she was like, no, we're fucking not. And I was like, yeah, we are. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, and then we ran into some people. We talked to them, and they were like, yeah, you can see the people going up there. And I'm like, oh my God.
And that's when she realized that I wasn't kidding.
What the fuck?
Which she literally said that while we're talking to those people. She's like, wait a second, you weren't kidding? And we have like our big ass packs on because we're spending the night up there. So we fill up our water bottles and then we start heading up.
Oh no, we have a drink, snacks. And
Oh yeah,
fill up
well
our
yeah.
water
Yeah,
bottles.
we have a drink. We want to make this more enjoyable.
I'm
and
ripping my
dehydrate.
dad. I'm ripping my dad pen. I'm like, help me, please get me up this mountain.
So we fill up our water. We start heading up. By now, it is fucking scorching hot. It's probably 80 degrees already.
Yeah,
and
it's like noonish.
Yeah.
No. It was like 10.
It was like 10.
It was like 10.
Yeah.
When we got
Which-
to Kolchak.
The last time I did this hike, I started a lot earlier because I was doing it in 1 day. So it was barely sunrise when I started heading up Kolchak. But now it's like scorching hot. And so we've just got like this heat down on us. It's all these rocks and all these boulders.
It's just straight bouldering.
and it's literally straight up.
I think that the beginning of Asgard Pass was like collapsed with another rock slide because there was no trail at the beginning.
Yeah,
of
you're following Carnes the entire time.
Yeah.
It's
But then
It's
like
very
halfway up we
sketchy.
could see like the dirt trail. Like,
Yeah.
we could tell where people were walking a
it
lot.
did seem like there was a recent slide.
But in the
yeah.
beginning, it was like huge boulders bigger than me that were fucking climbing up for like half a mile.
Yep, and then we see another mountain goat who's about halfway up. We start running into people who are coming down.
No, going up.
Oh, who are going up with their little day packs on. But so we're like basically just hiding in any shade that we can find.
Stopping. And every time we stop, we're attacked by bugs. We're attacked by horseflies and bees and gnats. There weren't that many mosquitoes on Asgard Pass, I will say. There were some, but it was
Mosquitoes
the
were
gnats.
mostly at the lakes.
It was
yeah.
the gnats and the horseflies
So
coming
we had
for
like
us.
bug spray on us, and bugs were just like committing suicide and getting stuck. Like I had literally had bugs all over my chest and my arms from like.
I was wiping the bugs off of me because I could not handle having the bugs.
See, I
stuck
just
in my
left
bug
them because
spray.
I didn't want to wipe off the bug spray.
Ugh.
So we get to the top of Asgard Pass, and
We don't even get to the top of Asgard Pass. Asgard Pass took us so long. You are underplaying Asgard Pass right now.
okay.
It was hard. And every other person we're watching, even the day hikers, everyone's dying of heat. The guy's coming down and he's like, I just want to get down. And now we're like
yeah.
halfway up and he's not even close to the bottom.
I know. Well, and there was like this girl who was like, where's the next water? I'm so thirsty. She was out of water. We're just like, oh my God, you have so
long
far
until you get to the water.
So like, it's
halfway up. So about a quarter of the way up Asgard Pass, you go far away from the stream that's running down into the lake. So,
well, and to get back to it is kind of dangerous because there's
Yeah.
still snowdrifts around it. So it's like partially frozen. The water's not, but there's partially these snowbanks that just collapse if you step on them.
yeah, because it's like,
So I'm not trying to underplay it. Maybe I'm just trying to block it out.
you're
I'm
just
really
trying
not
to, like,
sure.
you're just trying to get through it.
Which is what I was doing when we were hiking
Yes.
it. Yeah. But we finally, after losing the trail, after bouldering and after like having to find our
Just
way through,
literally
because-
standing there like, where's the next car and where is it? I don't.
and it's nowhere to be seen. I'm
And-
pretty sure at some point we weren't anywhere near the trail, but we know we've got to go up. So we're just like heading up because it's steep as shit no matter which way you go.
And then at the last like mile, it was like straight, just like loose little rocks that we were walking
It was like a
on.
quarter mile.
A quarter mile?
Mm-hmm. It felt like a mile though. The people coming down in that section where we were going up, it was so sketchy. They were all terrified. You could see it in their faces. They were sliding down this really steep, like it was very
I would
sketchy.
not go down Asgard Pass. I would not want to do that.
No, and we definitely took we took the steeper and longer way down, but I would not want to go the other direction and come down Asgard Pass.
That seems like hell. That seems like I'm gonna break my fucking ankle.
Yeah, exactly. It seems more dangerous,
Dangerous as in just more opportunity for injury.
which we try to avoid. So we come around the corner and there's like these 6 girls that are like taking shade behind like this big rock. And they're like, you guys made it. And they all just start clapping for us.
Got a whole ass round of applause.
We got a
when we made it
standing
to the top.
ovation at the top of the mountain. And the strangest part was that this wasn't even our first standing ovation at the top of a mountain. We were like,
This was our second standing ovation we've gotten.
our
And
first
now
one.
I really expect a goddamn round of applause every time I get to the top.
I will say our first one was more massive, but this one felt better.
Well, because the other one was like a group of Korean tourists that was like
literally 100
hitting
of them.
100, at the least 50 people in that group.
Oh, there was more than that.
I feel like there was more like 100, but
Yeah.
also
I was a little delusional.
I don't know what
So
was
we
going
were
on.
we were backpacking the Tour du Mont Blanc, which is in Europe, and
The Swiss Alps.
yeah, and we had this really intense pass that we had to climb to, and it was so hot and it was so hard, and
It was also a few years back when Europe had that super bad heat wave, if anyone
Yep.
remembers that. So
Mhm.
it was like it was over 100 degrees.
It was intense. It was like 2 years ago. So we like get to the top and
We just rounded the top of that hill, came up to the flat ground where they were all taking a break from hiking that awful hill, the awful pass we just went up. And we're walking and we just get a whole round of applause. Just there.
everybody just starts cheering for us, and we're like looking around like, what? Who are they clapping for? Should we be clapping? And then they're just like congratulating us and like telling us what a good job we did, and we were like,
because they were watching us go up the whole time because
because you can see,
yeah.
yeah, there's like these switchbacks, so you can like see the people coming up behind you. So that standing ovation was our first ever when completing a hike, and after getting another one this week, I just feel like we literally need one every time
It's
we
an
summit a mountain now.
It is an expectation for me for sure.
I did get like a couple people clapping for me when I got to the top of Mount St. Helens, but it wasn't like the enthusiastic round of applause that we got this week or a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, those were some enthusiastic. round of
We were
applause
just
I
like,
got.
it almost like made me want to cry because I was like, so.
It's so beautiful.
Anyway, so if you were hiking the Enchantments and you and your friends gave a round of applause to 2 very tired blonde girls at the top of Asgard Pass, you are appreciated.
They
So-
did look like the people that I would imagine listen to our podcast.
Yeah, right. Well, and they were staying at Kolchak and doing a day hike up to the
Yeah.
pass. So
And they did not want to go back down.
no, I don't blame them at all. But we appreciated you. Well, we finally come around the corner and there are just mountain goats
Everywhere.
everywhere. There's baby mountain goats. There's mama mountain goats. There's like ornery looking teenage mountain goats. They are
And
literally
they're
everywhere.
white and they're like shedding their fur, so they're like all like half fluffy.
Yeah. It
It's
was
so cute.
amazing. We did an entire like video like log of this trip for our Patreon. And there's like this one point where the mom and the baby are on one side of the rock and this other mountain goat comes around the corner and the mom just like charges it and they kind of like go off and like fight a little bit and the baby's like following the mom and it's like
screaming.
it's like screaming in distress and we
because
were like
it can't find its mom.
we like just wanted to help it. We felt so bad, but it was the
So
coolest
cute.
thing ever.
The baby mountain goats are fucking adorable.
We actually probably spent way too much time hanging out with the baby mountain goats and the like all the mountain goats. Like
I
we
feel
just
like we
stayed
didn't
there.
spend enough time with the mountain goats.
So then we're like, okay, well, let's go get a little further. Let's get a good view. And then let's like sit down and we'll have a snack and we'll kind of recoup and figure out where we want to set up camp tonight. And we find this big, huge rock and we're like sitting there and we're having our snack and we're having another drink because, you know, why not? And
drink ripping the dab pen. My vape tasted so good at the top.
Maddie's got her is it dat?
Dab.
Maddie's got her dab pen. I did not have a dab pen. I don't even have a dab pen.
It would have made her jump off the cliff.
It probably would have made me jump off the cliff. So I'm a paranoid. It's fine. So we're like sitting there and we're having our snack and we're enjoying ourselves. And then all of a sudden this goat comes up and he's like all of a sudden right there, right next to Madison.
Sneak attacks me.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, he's going to ram us. And Maddie's like, he's not going to ram us. So I'm already paranoid and I'm not even like smoking anything. But then he like walks nice and slow in front of us. And then he jumps up on this rock and then he comes around the corner towards where I'm at. And I'm like, okay, this is where I die. He totally left us alone. They didn't care about us at all. But it was so cool.
I think we scared him and he scared us. I think he climbed up on that rock and was like, oh, fuck, Jesus.
And we kind of did the same thing where we were like, oh my gosh.
All of a sudden my mom's like, there's a mountain goat behind you. I turn around and he's like literally 3 feet from me.
Yeah, he's like right there. We got video of that too.
There was a couple times where a mountain goat walked really close to me, like within a couple feet of me, and I'm like, okay,
we're doing this. Okay.
If you're gonna be friendly, I'll be friendly. Everything will be fine here. So the first day we were hiking, we did hear a story from another hiker about how somebody got charged at by a mountain goat.
Yeah.
Which I personally think if you're being charged at by a mountain goat, what did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do?
They can be ornery. Like people think that because they don't seem to care about you that you can like get close to them and whatnot. We didn't do that. We didn't walk any closer to them than they were to us. So like if we're walking and one comes close to us, we didn't get closer to it to take a picture. We took a picture of it where it was at. We didn't move around near them.
Moved my path multiple times to get
farther
away from.
Which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I don't want to disrupt them. I'm in their territory.
Exactly.
I don't want to let them live their life peacefully.
Yep.
It was really sad, though, one of the baby mountain goats we saw. The mom just kind of walked within, like, 5 feet of us, like, across the snow away from us, but, like, walked. Then the baby was following her, and the baby saw us, and the baby got real nervous when it got closer to us and had to, like, go climb up and go around on a rock to be, like, farther away from us because it didn't want to walk near us.
Yeah, the babies are really skittish.
They are very skittish.
Which is surprising because the adults are not at all.
The adults are curious.
So, super cool. So, we finally pack up and we leave from there and we start heading. How many miles are we in at this point?
A lot. It's like 4 p.m. at this point. I don't know how many miles we're
in.
The
time like just seemed to disappear by this point. Like we were shocked at how fast the time went. So we're not even halfway there yet though.
No.
So we packed up.
We took our sweet time on
We
Asgard
really did
Pass.
take our sweet time, yeah.
It was so hot. It was like 90 degrees when we were heading up Asgard.
Well, and we made sure that when we ran into a water source, we filled it up. We drank a lot of water. Like we were being very cautious of the heat, especially.
And I am not in hiking shape at all right now. I have not been hiking. I have been so bad.
I felt pretty good.
I did not. I did not at all. I have not been hiking. No.
And I have been, so it wasn't as bad for me probably as it was for Maddie.
No,
We're
but
doing another one.
It was still hard, though. Let me
Yeah.
preface that. It was still
hard for me. I'm not saying it was easy, but it was probably easier for me than it was for Maddie.
Oh my God. I wanted to die.
So
Anyway.
we pack up our stuff, and we had like 3 different lakes picked out that we might stay at depending on where there were sites available, because you don't have like a specific reserved site. It's just kind of first come, first serve. So we start,
But you have to have a permit.
But you have to have a permit. So we start heading in the direction of the lakes that we kind of want to look at. There's like 3 that I had seen on my previous hike that I thought would be good ones. We run into some hikers. We're like, oh, how's it looking out there? They're like, yeah, there's still a spot at Leprechaun Lake. And I was like, oh, that's perfect if we can get to that spot before anybody else.
Which is the furthest spot that we wanted to go to.
Which is the furthest that we were going to go that day. Because the other 2 lakes were closer. And when we did get to the other 2 lakes, there weren't any good sites near the lake. So I'm glad that we pushed on to Leprechaun. We got to Leprechaun Lake. Beautiful spot right on the lake. These big rocks.
You're missing
what?
A very key part. We had to cross the river at some point, and I'm using my hiking pole to like help balance myself across like these rocks. Like it was like you almost get your feet wet in general on this.
I thought that
river.
was on our hike out.
No.
Oh.
The dam was on our hike out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about the river crossing where I got my boots absolutely fucking soaking wet because I put my hiking pole on a rock. It slips. It gets caught between the rocks. So I go to pull my hiking pole out, and me pulling my hiking pole out sends me off the rock into the river. So then I just have to get both my feet wet because I get my feet wet or I completely fall in my body into the river.
So I might have been on the other side laughing.
And a whole ass group of campers watched me fall in because that was right by a campsite and they were watching us cross.
It's fine.
And I fell in.
It's fine.
And got my boots both absolutely drenched.
Yeah. The good news is that we weren't far from our campsite by that point. So
far enough that my feet were numb.
Yeah.
By the time that we got.
Well, the water's really cold.
And then we had to cross a bunch of snowbanks too, which didn't help keep my feet warm.
Yeah. So we got to our campsite, we put our stuff down, we're so excited, and all of a sudden, we are under attack.
The sun starts to go down behind the mountain.
And the mosquitoes start eating us alive. And when I say the mosquitoes are eating us alive, I'm not just saying we're getting a couple bites here and there. We are literally covered in bug spray from head to toe.
And we're being
bit through our clothes. We're being bit with the bug spray on. They don't seem to care. It's making no difference whatsoever. So we like set up our tent as quick as we can. And we just kind of have to fucking deal with it because we need to make dinner. We're not going to cook in our tent. So we have our tent set up and ready to go. I have a mosquito net that I have over my head, which is like a jokey one that somebody bought me a long time ago. And I've never actually worn it.
Not a joke this time.
And I brought it because last time I hiked the Enchantments, I did get a lot of bug bites. And I got one on my forehead. And it turned into this big, huge swollen thing on my forehead. And I was like, oh, I'll bring my net just in case.
Don't worry, I got 2 bug bites on my forehead during this trip in the Enchantments.
Yeah. So like, I'd put my net on and then I'd like cook something while she's like setting up. And then I'd give her the net while I like ate something. And then we were just like passing the net back and forth. It was pretty intense. And then luckily, I slept pretty good because the wind was so loud that I couldn't be startled by every noise that I heard throughout the night.
Yeah, the wind was like pulling the tent, like pushing the tent into my face while I was sleeping.
So the wind
intense.
It did keep me up, but it didn't startle me up like noises do. Because normally when I backpack, I hear literally every single noise wakes me up. So it's just intense. It's loud. I don't sleep well when I backpack. And I actually slept pretty decent on this night.
Yeah, the only thing that was waking me up was myself rolling over on my loud-ass fucking sleeping pad. I hate my sleeping pad. It's
Maddie has
loud.
Maddie has my original sleeping pad, the one that I did for Wonderland.
I'm cheap and I don't buy my own supplies.
It's a torso mat. So I went as lightweight as I could on Wonderland because it was 9 days. It was 100 miles. It was intense. So it's a torso mat, and then I would sleep with my feet on my backpack, which was also good because my feet hurt so bad that elevating them kind of helped. It is the loudest thing that was ever made.
No, dude, I like roll over. It's like just sounds like fucking.
She moves around a lot in her sleep too.
Yeah, I do. And I wake
Yeah.
myself up every time I roll over because.
Yep.
And I almost had a heat stroke in the middle of the night because I'm wearing all my warm stuff and like.
Yeah, I didn't put my blanket on until like probably halfway through the
Dude,
night.
I woke up in a mid panic, like about to take off layers, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's too cold for that. Just go back to bed. You'll be okay.
You'll be fine. Everything is fine. But we woke up, the first couple hours were really nice because the bugs weren't super intense yet. Once the bugs came, we were like, let's pack up our shit and get out of here right now. So yeah, then we had to start our grueling.
Oh, you're missing in the
What?
morning when we were making our breakfast.
Oh yeah,
eating our breakfast. A mama and her baby came right to our campsite to check our campsite out.
Yeah, I got such cute video of this. They're literally just, and I think I posted a reel of it. It might be on my personal
Also,
Instagram,
there
though.
was this one rock right on the lake that we hung out at night with our drinks and stuff. And in the morning, we went to go eat our breakfast over there, and there was a random ass rock, like a good sized rock, like the
Right in the
size of
middle.
like two of my hands, sitting on this rock that we were sitting. That's right by our campsite, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And there's no logical way it could have ended up there. I have no idea how the rock got there. I'm confused about it still. I don't understand how the rock got there.
And there were no campers around us either, by the way.
No, the other campers that were on this lake were on the other side of the lake.
And those were the only campers we saw the whole time we were there. Like tents set up until the next morning.
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, I guess we saw.
No, we saw
the ones at the other lake.
Yeah, we saw the ones at the
Yeah.
other lake, but those were the only ones that are like where that was that one big group that had like 3 tents or something.
Yeah. But we did on our way out of our campsite find like a pit toilet that had the best view ever.
Yeah, it did.
It like faced this like huge mountain and it had a lake and it was just like this pit toilet with a view. You feel
awesome.
a little exposed, but you also it's kind of enjoyable.
No,
so
it was fun. I had a great shit that morning, so everything was fine. After I ate both our dinners because my mom didn't really eat a lot of her dinner. She only ate like half of her.
Yeah,
meal.
I try. I really do try to eat when I hike, but I do struggle.
I didn't let it go to waste. I ate it all.
So on this second day, basically our entire hike is downhill. And so I logged it. Once we got to that point, we still had how many miles left?
10.
So we had 10 miles from our campsite to our car. And 10 miles doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but the first couple miles of our hike were across these crazy like boulders and down these rocks. And at one point there was like this downhill, and I took a video of this, and there's like these metal bars like bolted to the rock for you to put your foot on so that you don't slide off the mountain.
Yeah. Yes. So lots of steep bouldering, lots of knee calf burning rocks.
Yeah, it's difficult terrain. Like you can't go very fast through it. So it's just difficult. So it's beautiful though. Like the whole entire area feels like another world. It feels like you're in a different world. It's crazy.
It doesn't even look real. I want to do it multiple days so that I can experience the second part of it longer because I feel like I did not get to.
So yeah, we get down all of this like super sketchy terrain. Once we get to Snow Lakes, we decide that we're going to take our next break when we get to the other side of Snow Lake. So you get to Snow Lakes and you basically hike along the lake for what seems like a million fucking years.
A million fucking years.
And the bugs are so bad around this lake. So we finally get to the dam. There is this man-made dam. It's cement and it goes across where you have to exit. So I walked across this dam last year. I did it in my boots. It doesn't look deep. It looks really shallow. But as soon as you start stepping on it, water just starts rushing over your feet. So I told Maddie, I was like, let's take our shoes off. And then when we get to the other side, we'll have our break over there with our shoes off. We'll take care of our blisters. We'll put some moleskin on. Like, we'll
Yeah, by the
hang
way,
out.
I have like 6 blisters at this point on my feet.
Yeah, she does. So she used all of my moleskin.
My boots are wearing out. I need new boots real bad.
I know. I kind of need new boots right now, too. So we're like sitting down and we're taking our shoes off. And all of a sudden, this group, they're like 6 guys, they like come from behind. They had just set up their camp at Snow Lake.
It was actually 8 guys.
Was it 8? And they're like looking at us taking off our shoes and they're like questioning what we're doing. And I was like, so I'm telling him that last year when I crossed the dam, I got my boots wet and I had to do the last 8 miles of downhill with wet boots. And I lost 3 toenails. I got lots of blisters and it's deeper than it looks. And he's kind of just like looking at me and they're all just kind of like looking at me. And then 3 or 4 of them just start crossing.
Guess what happens?
And they get about halfway.
The water starts rushing over their boots.
The water starts like just rushing over their boots. And one of them even tries to like step on a log that's like up against the dam and it just like sinks and he gets even more wet. And the other guys that are still on the side where we're at, there's like 4 of them, they immediately sit down and start taking off their boots. But the other 4, they're already heading across. It's too late for them. There's no hope.
They're already halfway across. Because then the rest of the guys start, like, hang back and are like, this girl just told us that you get your feet really wet. And then they're, like, watching the other guys. And then they watch the other guys struggle. And then they start taking their boots off.
It was almost comical, though, because they're, like, trying to walk on their tippy toes across because the water's, like, coming into their boots. So they're trying to get, like, higher up. But you really can't.
It doesn't work like that.
So we let them all cross, even the other 4 guys, before we crossed.
I wanted to watch the other 4. My mom was like, why are you taking so long? She's like, why are you? Because I was like being slow because I wanted to watch the other 4 guys cross because they had slides on.
Yeah.
They didn't have like their
Tivas or like
nothing like that.
Yeah.
Nothing kind of like that's staying on your feet.
Invest in the Tivas if you're going to be out hiking a lot. It's worth the strap.
I have Walmart Tivas.
Yeah, they don't have to be brand name ones. You can get the cheap ones.
But I wanted to watch him cross because I definitely thought someone was going to lose a shoe because
she was very disappointed that nobody lost a shoe.
No one lost any of their.
But when we got to the other side, the 4 guys were putting their shoes back on. They all had dry feet, and the other 4 guys were like standing there, and they did not have dry feet. So if somebody's like, "Hey, you might want to take your shoes off," maybe listen to them. So yeah, we get across Snow Lakes. We take our last like long break of the day, which was really good. The bugs were only kind of bad there.
I got to watch more fish at this lake.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we started the downhill.
And then a huge trout came and poked his face out from the logs, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Maddie really likes fish.
I really like the fish.
So then we start our downhill, and this downhill is like no downhill I've ever experienced in my life. It's just like switchback, 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 switchback. And at some point, you get around the corner of the mountain, and then you can see your car.
Yeah.
And this is a magical moment for about 2 seconds until you realize you are still so far away from your car.
But here's the thing is that we rounded the mountain for fucking forever.
Forever. So we finally see our car, and then it is still at least an hour.
You're missing. You're missing.
What am I missing?
The guy, and are you looking for your sister?
Oh, well, oh yeah, okay.
That happened before we could see the car. That was
okay.
That was before. That was
Sorry, I keep leaving things out and Maddie's getting upset. So before we get to the car, or before we can see the car.
This is a story. We're telling a story right now. She's just missing valuable pieces that make it a more interesting story.
I'm sorry. So before we get to the point where we can see the car, we pass this guy, and he has climbing gear on, or climbing gear with him.
Yeah.
He has a big backpack with him. He's obviously going up to spend the night and to do some climbing.
And there are people that do climbing in this area as well. We saw some.
Right. We saw some people on some crazy rock walls while we were doing this hike.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do rock climb in this area. So he gets close to us, and it's getting kind of late in the day right now.
Late-ish.
What time were we heading down?
I don't know. Let's look at our pictures.
So we crossed the dam at 10:33. at 2:30, I took a picture of that rock that you wanted me to take a picture of.
Yes, because my phone died. That's right. That's why I don't have any
Yep.
pictures.
So Maddie's phone died.
Let me
So
see my
it's
rock.
around 2:30, 3 o'clock when we
Yes.
run into this guy.
Yes, because that was the rock. My
Yep.
rock was at that point. I love my rock.
Yeah.
It looks like the kind of looks like the hook of Maui's hook from Moana.
Yeah, or like an anchor.
A little
so this guy comes up to it, or is coming towards us, and he's like, "Oh, are you guys meeting? Are you looking for your sister?" And we were like, "What?"
I'm like so confused because we're just hiking. We've never spoke to this man
And
before.
we're just like zoning out right now. We're just like we're in survival mode right now. And we were like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, I passed a girl who was looking for her sister." And we were like, "Oh, no, we're not meeting anybody here." Like we were coming all the way through. And he was like, "Oh, I think she said she was like running the enchantments or something." And we were like, "Oh, that's weird because we haven't run into anybody that's running."
And we've been hiking from about halfway through the enchantments
that day
since like 6 a.m.
Right. So
And we had seen one trail runner, which God, if you're a trail runner,
good job.
good job.
You're insane.
I don't know how the fuck you do that.
We think it's crazy, but that's fine.
You're crazy, but
it's fine.
People think I'm crazy for doing what I do.
That's true.
People think I'm crazy for walking. And you're running?
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway,
we get a little further, and then he also tells us that he's got a couple buddies coming behind him. And we were like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Tell them that I'm not that far ahead, or tell them how far ahead of them I am, or whatever." So we get a little further down and we run into,
like right after we ran into him, we run into one of his other buddies.
Right. And we're like, "Oh, heading up to rock climb with your buddy, whatever." He's like, "Yeah." And we got a couple more coming.
He looked really confused when we were just straight out like, "You're rock climbing." He was like,
kind of how we looked when the guy was asking us if we were looking for our sister.
Yes. Confused.
So he passes us. We're like, "Yeah, they're fine. They're going to make it. They're going to survive.
Yeah.
They're both fit, whatever." Yeah. We get a little further.
We may or may not judge everybody's survival ratings a little bit when we pass them.
Oh, you might
hikes.
Get a rating when you pass us on a trail.
It's not like a real rating, like not like a number or anything, but like, oh, they're not. No.
They're going to be hurting, whatever.
Or like, they're fine.
So
like,
we get probably another half mile down. So now they're about a mile ahead of their next group of people. So it's a guy and a girl. And oh my goodness, they are struggling. And it is like one small foot in front of the other, moving very slowly with a very heavy pack, beet red, like not looking good. And we were like...
And at this point, they're only 2 miles into their hike.
Right.
Because we are 2 miles from the exit.
Parking lot. Yeah. So we're like, oh, okay, well, your buddies are about a mile ahead of you. They're going to have a rough night, I think, because it's getting later now. It's maybe like 3:30 now at this point.
Something like that, between 2 and 3.
Yeah. And then we run into the sister who is standing in a shade patch.
Because there's not a lot of shade in this area.
Right. It's
kind of like the spot we are at, like the beginning of the no shade.
Right.
And the rest of the 2 miles
is like open, exposed.
Yeah.
And she's like...
She's not wearing hiking clothes.
No, and she has one little bottle of water in her hand.
Blender bottle.
Yep.
With a blue top. And
she looks very concerned. And she's looking for her sister. And we're like, "Oh, is your sister the one running the enchantments?" Because that's what the guy had told us. And she said, yeah, she was running it in one day.
She started at Snow Lake this morning.
She started at Kolchak this morning. And we were like, oh, because if she started at Kolchak this morning, she should have passed us at some point.
Because we started hiking at like 6.
Right. And it could just be that
she's behind us.
She's definitely behind us, but it could just be that it was harder than she thought and she got delayed. But
we took a lot of breaks.
And
I feel like theoretically a trail runner would have started at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Maybe. Obviously not, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
But if you were there and you were looking for your sister, or if you were running it, can you just like drop us a note and let us know that you are alive? Because the day after we hiked the enchantments, somebody was airlifted out of the enchantments. I saw the emergency call on the scanner. Was it you?
I really want to know because I can't find any articles about anyone being airlifted out, but we know for a
But we know
fact
that it happened.
that somebody was airlifted
I'm
out.
guessing it was probably heat related or injury related. It is easy to injure yourself, and the heat is pretty intense.
Yeah, well, you're so high up.
Yeah. So we finally get to the point where we can see our car, and it feels magical. And then it's not magical because
We still have like a whole mile to go.
we had like an entire mile to go still, and it was like the longest mile of my life. But we finally get to the car. It's fucking amazing. We stopped on the way home and we got burgers and milkshakes, and it was probably the best burger I've ever eaten in my life.
It was pretty good.
It was a good burger. It was good. We were tired. But yeah, that was our hike in the Enchantments.
Oh, and also, yeah, that was the day that we ran into the one girl that was on our way down.
I forgot about
we
that.
totally forgot.
Okay. Also,
on our way down,
day 2,
after we did like all the hard, like
bouldering
on the second day going down.
Yeah, we're walking down this trail, and these 3 girls are coming up.
Yeah.
And so we scoot to the side because if you're coming up, you have the right of way. If you don't know that, you should know that if you're hiking. And 2 of them pass us, and then the third one kind of just stands there and stares at us. And we're like, I
didn't even notice she was standing there and staring.
Yeah, she was just like literally stopped and staring. And she goes, "Do you guys have a podcast?" And we were like, "Yes." Anyway, her name was Brittany, and she totally listens to our podcast. We took a picture with her. It totally made our day.
Yeah, you got recognized at a wedding, but I got recognized first on the trails, so...
True story. It was Maddie that she recognized first. So that was freaking amazing. We've been recognized before, but like never out hiking, which I feel like just makes it...
surprising, actually, but not surprising because honestly, what are the odds of running into somebody in real life that listens to our podcast?
And we were kind of far from home, and so like it was the coolest thing to be recognized. But I feel while hiking,
if we were gonna run into someone, it was gonna be on the Enchantments.
The Enchantments are pretty amazing. We highly recommend them in multiple days. Maddie's looking at me like I'm never hiking the Enchantments again.
Well, I got deathly ill after hiking the Enchantments. I threw up for 15 hours the day after we got home.
I was a little nauseous on the drive home, and then after that I was fine.
No, I came home, went to bed, woke up in the morning, and just 7 a.m. started throwing up all the way into the night.
And we drank the same water and we ate the same food. So it could just be that she's more sensitive to something that was in the water. We did filter all of our water or boil all of our water. So
could have been the burger. I could have gotten food poisoning.
But
or it could have been elevation sickness.
Right. So we're up pretty high. We're kind of at the low range of where you can start to get elevation sickness.
I think I just got some elevation sickness and overworked my body.
I was going to say your body probably went into shock a little bit too. Like you haven't done a hike like that in a really long time. Since Europe, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was amazing. We had a great trip. But we just wanted to give you guys something a little different today. And
I almost died. But that's besides the point.
Maddie's fine. Don't listen to her. We're going backpacking on Monday.
Someone called Protected Child Services, Protected Adult Services.
You're not a child anymore, yeah.
I know there's the elderly service,
but it's protective adult. Yeah, there is, but usually there has to be something else, extenuating circumstances.
I just watched an episode of Hoarders where the guy threw a huge fit and broke the windows on something because the people were like, "We're gonna call elderly protective services," and he was like, "I'm running away. I'm running away."
Well, and I think if Maddie or if anybody called Adult Protective Services for Maddie, they'd be like, "You live in your mother's house, just move out." Or just don't go hiking with her.
No, I'm getting all of your children taken away.
I told Maddie that we were going backpacking on Monday because I got a permit for somewhere, and she's like, "How hard is it?" And I was like, "It's not that hard." She's like, "You lie."
I'm traumatized.
I want to know exactly how hard it is.
I threw up. Do you know what throwing up for 15 hours does to a person?
Yeah, I do not do well throwing up. I'm like the worst puker ever. But But
I
I'm
couldn't
going
even keep water or applesauce down.
Yeah. But I'm going on a like 40-mile backpacking trip next week. And so I need at least one more hard hike overnight to like prepare. I feel like. So that's why I have to go on this trip on Monday. And Maddie has to go with me.
I hope Hayden can go with us. You go easier on her. You're mean to me.
Maddie does like it when so we have like a love-hate relationship with hiking because we both like we're able to like push through just about anything.
I'm
like,
there for the views. I am strictly there for
Right.
the views and the experience.
But when it gets hard, when we're struggling,
I wanna
we
die.
we'll just like sit down and we'll drink and we'll complain and then we'll get up and we'll just fucking get it done. When we hike with other people, I tend to be a little nicer, I guess.
You let me take longer breaks.
She
And you
loves
don't
when
get-
we hike with Hannah because the breaks are abundant and she's like, this is amazing. This hike isn't even hard. I'm like, shut up. We just took 25 breaks and you did 2 shots. Anyway. So yeah, we will let you guys know on the next episode if we survive the backpacking trip that we're going to be going on here. I did buy a giant campsite net.
Good, because
Yeah,
we're gonna need that.
I'm like, I'm not fucking dealing with mosquitoes anymore. I want a fucking net that I can tie to the trees and I can live under it.
So
at the
bugs
campsite.
like me, but bugs always like my mom more.
Well, if you guys enjoyed our chat about the enchantments, you should probably go check out our Patreon. We have an entire video on there from our trip, and we also have a bunch of other hiking stuff that we've done.
Yep.
So we have lots of videos, lots of hiking with Hannah, which is where we take my sister, who is not a hiker, out into the woods, and we try not to kill her.
She almost dies every time. So
There is crying every time. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.